Get that going. Okay, let me just make sure that everything is working properly. So let's check with the onliners. Hi, Barack. Can you hear me from the podium?
Yes, Professor. Good morning.
Well, we can hear you clearly. That's great. Okay. Hi, Cindy. How are you this morning?
I'm well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good, thanks. Great. So let's see who else. And hi, Maureen. Maureen is joining us. Excellent. So let me just double check and see who else is there. And I can do it this way. Yeah, great. Yeah, I'll go down. Okay, Nathan's there, Maureen's there, Cindy. Nice. Okay. So we have everybody there. Everybody can hear. Nathan, do you have a microphone or are you going to be joining us via text? Can you just let us know? Go ahead, please. Nathan? Okay, Planet NL. I know Maureen's there, Cindy's there. So the cosmos is looking pretty good, but we're worried about Planet Nathan, Planet Nathan Largy. Does Nathan exist? Can you just please let us know, Nathan, in the live chat or in the on your microphone? I'm a little concerned that Planet NL needs a rescue mission, but maybe that's because. Uh, let me just come back here. Okay. Good. Okay, so let's try again. Planet NL. This is Mission Control, Podium, Global Classroom. Are you safe or have you drifted away on your planet? Do you exist, Planet NL? Or is this a phantom planet? Are you? Okay, so I think Planet NL, for the moment, may require a rescue mission, and we will dispatch one a little bit later, but we have to get this class started. And right now we are live over the Indian Ocean, as you can see from the International Space Station behind me. It is a live picture. So welcome everybody to Global Leader, our 7th class of the semester. And we are at the midpoint, essentially, of the semester. And you probably know that because you must be busy with other things, exams and tests and assignments that are due. And next week, you will be receiving a midterm grade from me and others as well, all the courses that you're taking. So I'd like to make sure that you're on track for that. Today, what we're going to do is we're actually going to return to where we were just before last week's big class that we had. And that was we're going to take those 4 global problems that we started to consolidate, and we're going to choose which one is going to be the one today that we're going to work on, and we're going to prepare some action items. So this is going to be a big problem solving class today together. And then by the end of today's class, I think you'll have a better sense of what needs to be done for that one particular global problem, but from a local perspective. Okay, so today you're really going to understand something about local thinking a lot. And it's going to be, I think, the first class we've done this semester where you're really going to get a sense of that mindset that is needed by everybody today, which is that you're global and you're local at the same time. So we're going to identify the global problem. And then we're going to look at action items from a local perspective, because we can only do our part in facing global problems. They're huge, and I would not want to stand here with you. Come on in, Jazeel, and try to, solve the problems of the world with all of you. We can't do it. We have to do it together. All hands on deck for this all over the world. But we all have to be addressing these problems from our local perspectives. And so that's really going to be the challenge today, is how we prepare some action items for this particular global problem. Come on in, Ryan. So what I would ask you to do, just perhaps one of the students online right now, just because we can give you something to do while we're sort of getting set up here. And Barack, Cindy, and Nathan, could you please go to the notes from 2 weeks ago? So today we're February the 21st. So on February the 7th, you will see Mayrene's, or actually your notes, where you will see the 4 problems. So go to DC Connect, the class folder, go to the notes in that class folder. So that would be class 5. And could you open those notes and have them in front of you, so that we can have you update us or brief us on what those notes say? Okay, so Barack, does that make sense? You understand?
Yes, but I couldn't find the notes for that specific date.
Okay, well, let's do this, because I'm trying today to make this even a little more interactive with the Cosmos while we get things momentarily set up here. So can you go to the DC Connect page for this class? Can you have that open as a tab in front of you? Are you able to?
It is open right now.
Okay, so go there. And Mayreen, just get ready. We're going to start our update shortly, but I just want to make sure we have this teed up, because this is going to be the big part of today's class. Is we have to review what those 4 problems were, if you recall. Okay, so Barack, just let us know when you have that in front of you. Okay, so that would be DC Connect. Go to the content page, go to class 5, and then click on that folder, and you will see the notes there.
Well, there's no notes for the class 5, but there's notes for the class 6, which defines the problems.
Okay, class 5. So I just hold on. Class 5. Cindy, are you able to go to class 5 on DC Connect? I can do it here quickly. Let me just see. Hold on. I'll put this in front of everybody. Okay. I'm just.
Class 5 just has the chat room transcript.
Okay. Hold on 2 seconds. I'm gonna just quickly tee this up myself, and I just have to do this. Okay. All right. Great. So I'm going to go to DC Connect, and I'm going to bring this in here. Okay, so you can see what's happening here. Okay, so let's go to DC Connect, and it would be up here. Okay, and then we'll go to Global Leader, and then we'll go to Content, and then we'll go to Class 5. Oh, so the notes weren't posted there. I didn't get it right. My mistake. Okay, so here are the notes for class 4. So we'll refer to them here. Oh, here it is. Sorry, it's class 4. There they are. My mistake. So Cindy, Brock, go to class 4. Okay, you'll see them on the big board behind me right now. The notes. All right, and that will solve that. So my mistake, and let's get him back here, because we want to keep him here, but we want to do this first. We want to always orient ourselves to where we are. I'm always trying to get better at handling the big board here. It should feel like a pretty fluid current dashboard flying by. And so here we go. What I would first like to do is do a quick review with all of you to make sure everybody's ready and to take, of course, any questions. And then I'm just going to talk just very briefly about leadership, a little bit more about this idea of leadership and global leadership before we start doing the main part of today's class, which is we're going to take those problems and really drill down with one of them. So let's just remind ourselves, would somebody please take the microphone and look at the big board and do something new here, and I'll kind of help you. And why not go to Jamie, since Jamie has always been ready to do this. And Jamie, just hold it a little bit. I got it a little away from you, below your chin. We've been having some problems with the mic. It's a bit too close. So kind of like down. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I
Okay.
heard from the you had the president and whatnot.
Yeah,
we it did not sound that great.
We didn't figure this out until later, and if I had tech here, we could have fixed it then. But all it was he was just holding it too close. That was it, you know. So, Jamie, could you? Yeah.
I was gonna make a joke. So I've done karaoke, and like it's weird with your own voice.
Yeah, that's right. So, Jamie, could you do us a favor, and could you look at the big board right now and tell us where exactly is the International Space Station in orbit?
It is over the Indian Ocean.
It's over the Indian Ocean? Okay. So we actually have a live picture right now, not stock footage or archival, because sometimes the signal will be disrupted and they will go to some archival. So do we know how fast the space station is moving right now? Are you able to read that?
Yeah, it says it's moving 7.6533 kilometers per second.
Okay, so the International Space Station, and how high is it? How far is it from us right now?
Its elevation is 431 kilometers.
Okay, great. So right now, the International Space Station, in its 90-minute orbit around the planet, is over the Indian Ocean, and its elevation again is what, Jamie?
431 kilometers.
Kilometers, okay. And it's moving at 7.5 kilometers or 7.6?
7.6
per second. Can you all, for the moment, just try to use something that you're all going to be using an awful lot of today, which is your imagination. The number one thing that you're going to have to use as a leader in anything in your life is imagination. And we will say, as a leader, your vision. Remember, we talked about vision? So, first, try to create a mental representation in your mind right now of 7.5 or 7.65 kilometers per second, how fast that is. Just if you can, meaning that the space station is moving in, let's say, 10 seconds. It has gone about
76.
70. So from Toronto is about 50 kilometers. So it would get from Toronto to here in about how many seconds, Jamie?
Under 10 seconds.
Under 10 seconds. And I spent all that time today on the 407 bus, half asleep, with my coffee, doing my emails, planning for classes, and I was on the express, and it took 50 minutes. Wouldn't it be nice to just get on a ride, and go a little faster? What's that? Just jump on the space station. Great. It's possible, or it will be possible. It is possible.
Just said you have to pay a fortune.
Yeah, we'd have to pay a fortune. That's right. But you're going to make a fortune in your life, right, Giselle? Yeah. You see, all of us as global leaders, all we want to do is just make a crap load of money, don't we? I mean, that's really all we want, right? That's our priority, to make a lot of money. I wonder
Necessarily.
that. 6. That's right. I might be just pulling your chain or just trying to get you to think a little bit today. Because I probably, if I ask each and every one of you here what you really want to do and what you consider success, probably deep down you wouldn't say make a lot of money. I suspect, right, Princess? Yeah, great. So lots of responsibilities. Yeah.
I don't think like wealth, a lot of wealth comes with a lot of issues. Like I want to be comfortable, take care of my family, will be okay.
Yep.
But not a lot of money. Nah,
Yeah.
nah.
At the end of it, there's something kind of cold and even icy about just money, that's all you care about. Money and the calculation that
Yeah.
goes along with having to make a lot of money. You've got to think about ways maybe that you can, manipulate things and break the law and get what you want and scream and shout. And Richie, yeah, grab a microphone, sure.
So it's not so much that we love money, it's just that in today's world, you probably need money more than ever. Um, the best example is a home costing $1 million.
Yes.
I mean, that's incredible. Like the prices of homes have gone high so much that you need money to own a home. So I wouldn't say money is so bad. It's just that in today's world, you need money to
Yeah.
sustain yourself. Yeah.
It just occurred to me, Richie bringing a perspective from another part of the world. Well, there are lots of parts of the world where people have less money. But in a way, what I just said is kind of the perspective of a privileged person, myself, who's grown up in a place where I've had more than maybe you did when you were growing up. I wonder. And that means that money means something different to a person who hasn't had a lot of it. But I'm assuming you had less. Maybe you didn't. Maybe we both grew up with the same kind of privilege.
Yeah, I would say I would say we probably grew up with the same level of privileges, but growing up in a less developed part of the world,
Yes.
you value money more than
Yeah.
Someone.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think
Yeah.
it's important to remind all of us that there are different perspectives on money. However, in the end, I think that we all would probably say that there are human things here that go around how we interact with other people, what we give to others, and what our relationships are like, and what we can do for others. It probably is more meaningful than anything, and what you want to be doing as a leader too. So let me just check in online and see how we're doing. Then I'm going to do a quick review with all of you, and then we've got to jump into these problems. So, how are we doing online? I see something in the live chat there. So let me come over and do this today. I think I can actually run it from here. There we go. Hi, Ajoy. You're here from Dhaka. Can you jump on your microphone? Go ahead.
Hi, hello, Professor. Hello, everyone. Hi. It's nice to see you all.
Excellent.
Yeah,
How are you doing today?
yeah, just okay. It's a
Yeah.
weekend. It's
Oh,
a weekend.
we can't hear
Mm.
you too well. It might be something technical. I've got the audio increased as much as possible, but it's
Yep.
Happy International Mother Language Day. Is that what it is today? Mother Language Day? I didn't know that. Thanks
Yeah,
for
it is. It is, and 21st of
good.
October. Mm.
All right. Well, that may come up in the class at some point. Okay. So let's see. Is there anything else in the live chat before we? And Mayreen. Now I want to get Mayreen. Do an update with Mayreen, and then I'll let her go. So Mayreen, are you able to jump on your camera at all and give an update, or just your microphone?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi. Oh, let's see what's going on with the audio. Just a second. It might be something with me here. And let's see. Because we can't hear too well, but I'm not going to worry too much. I don't want to troubleshoot. We'll just have to listen more closely, and we will figure it out. So, Maureen, are you able to use your camera?
Yep. Are my videos on? Can you see it or not really?
Oh, the audio is so weak we can barely hear today. What's that?
My
Yeah, I think
videos
it's
on?
exactly. And I've got everything here increased. So you know what I'm going to do, just so that we don't get too slowed down with troubleshooting. And I've got things set up today, and I don't want to ruin anything. Maureen, I can. It's clear online. Okay. That's interesting. Then what I will do for now is, Maureen, I'll give the students here and everybody, the classmates, an update on Expo, and
Sure.
I can let you go. And as for Adjoy, please stay with us. But I think the best will be, Adjoy, if you interact via the live chat, so we can make sure we get everything, because we're having trouble hearing, although it's clear online. But so, Maureen, you're welcome to stay, but I can do the updating, and you can get back to work if you need to. Okay.
Sure, Lon. I'll stay for the update. Can you hear me now?
Uh, it's so weak.
It's
Yeah,
weak.
it's coming out of one speaker in the room here,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's online. It's okay. Uh, I'll do the updating. Okay,
No
and
worries,
that
Lon.
way everybody can hear.
Sure.
Okay, great. Exactly. And toss anything in the chat. If you can stay with us for this, then I will take it up in the chat. Yeah, it's strange. Something's going on, but don't worry about it. We can continue as long as everybody can hear me and hear us. We can use the live chat if we have to. So I would like to tell you something about what's happening with our Expo project. First, I wanted to say that for those of you who were thinking about becoming part of the production team for this, don't worry about it if it doesn't come together, okay? Because so far we've been talking about it, but I can see that at least the four of you, Jamie, Princess, Richie, and Ryan, may have other things that you're working on right now. And I don't want to put too much pressure on everybody to be involved with this production team. However, I wanted to say that there's something that Richie has suggested he would like to do for his final assignment, which is a documentary. And I very much encourage this. He's going to do it on his own. For maybe it'll be something that you do with others, but we'll see. But for now, we're working on that idea that you would do something on your own. And it turns out that he's had a real interest in documentaries. So he has said that he would like to look at doing a short documentary for his final assignment on something that we're exploring right now, he and I, in terms of a topic. So for any of you here, on the production team or not, I encourage you to break out of your comfort zone a little bit and maybe think of doing some kind of short documentary for your final assignment. 8 to 10 minutes that I can help you with. I have a long background in production, as some of you may know, and also being able to communicate well in video is a really important skill today. But I mean video in a sophisticated way, not just turning your camera on and talking. Lots of people do that. I mean, crafting a little film. That's a powerful skill to have. And so I want you to think about that as a possible final assignment. And I can show you and post examples of short documentaries that students have done in my classes over the years, including ones that have been recognized for their work with awards and other recognitions. So you will be doing a lot of writing in your first 3 assignments. You've already started doing that. Your first reflection, your second, which is longer, your third, which is the same as your second. So the fourth assignment, the fourth and final one, your big one, worth 35%. It could be a short documentary. And I would give you some pretty serious bonus marks for making an effort, even if the production values of it are not at the level where, a professional might be. I don't expect you to do that. This is not a production class. But I would really look quite favorably at students who have made a real attempt to engage with the technology, get a camera, maybe do some interviews, learn an editing program a little bit. Doesn't have to be Final Cut Pro necessarily, but something. And then you begin to narrate it, and you put together an 8 to 10 minute short documentary about something that you would be really proud of. So I just wanted to put that out there, okay, for all of you. And as far as the production team goes, if it comes together and you want to continue with it, let me know. Otherwise, I will proceed on the understanding that you're going to work independently on your own things, okay? Is that fair? Yeah? Okay, great. So I would like to also say about the reflections that are coming in. And let me just, finish with Expo. We are preparing what's called a co-creation challenge. We're putting a proposal together right now for Expo, Mayreen and I, where we're proposing a project that we would do at Expo, which would involve us working with other partners. And really, the critical project that we're going to be proposing is something like as follows. And if any of you are interested in getting involved in this, let me know. It can be in production, it can be in something else, but I can tailor a final assignment around this for you. Mayreen, I'm just going to give them the critical, what I think is the big challenge that you wrote about, and I'm just starting to kind of tweak a little bit in the rewriting of this. So is there anything you want to put in the live chat right now in terms of something around this? Go ahead and do that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to tell them what this is, okay? So we can make sure they have all the information. Here is what we want to do. She's typing? Great. Okay, so we can handle different media at once. Let me bring a picture of somebody in to make this a little more inspiring. This project that we're going to be doing for Expo is our demonstration of global leadership out of the global classroom. The reason why I'm talking about this project with all of you through the semester is in large part because I want you to see that I'm leading. I'm prepared to do a new project. I'm prepared to jump in and do something, and that I am giving you the chance to be involved in that. But most importantly, I want you to be thinking of your own projects that you can be leading. But I think that this is something that you can also witness. And when we talk about leadership, I wanted to bring a picture of somebody up behind us to inspire us a little bit. Probably you know who that person is. But if not, I'll just remind you of who I've put behind me right now. After I've shown you the live view of the International Space Station, after Jamie has given us a little bit of where we are right now, how high we are, and how fast we're moving, I want to remind you that a leader today has to think like an astronaut. You're looking at a very accomplished astronaut behind me, a Canadian, Chris Hadfield, who spent something like 6 months living on the International Space Station as the captain of that space station. Probably all of you are familiar with this name, Chris Hadfield, to some extent. If you're not, you should be. As I talk about Expo and review with you Mayreen's notes and just review a little bit about what we've been doing this semester. And as you look at this picture of Chris Hadfield, what would you say are 2 or 3 critical qualities that he needed to have when he was living on the International Space Station as its commander? I'd like you to think about this for a moment, okay? Just think, because I'm going to get 2 of you to come up and tell us. We're going to be taking these qualities today, particularly vision and imagination, but there's some other critical qualities about global leadership that astronauts demonstrate. And we're going to be taking those qualities and applying them to a global problem from a local perspective. So Chris Hadfield, can help us understand something. But first, before you come up here, okay, I just want to remind you that at the International Expo in April of 2025, Mayreen and I and others from the college who will be joining us, we want to go there and we want to be a pretty visible presence. Now let's see what Maureen has written before I tell you what we're thinking of, and then we'll continue, okay? So Maureen has written, the co-creation challenge that we will submit soon, once approved, will be further applied to something called best practices, where the participants will be able to present at the expo in Japan. We'll also be applying to co-creation partners to collaborate with other partners and challenges. Okay, great. So we're going to be doing challenges there. We're going to be involved with partners there. A critical part of leadership, and Chris Hadfield will tell you this too, is can you work with others? Do you know how to work with partners? And can you work with the partners under stress? Especially if you're in a finite tin can in space, as Ryan said. That's how big, I mean, it's been compared to living in a tin can. The International Space Station is very, very tight quarters. I can't remember the exact dimensions. I want to be able to tell you, but it's much smaller than you think. What's that? Yeah, it's much smaller. It's something like, for I think the entire facility is like the size of a hockey rink, or half, or something like that. But in that, you have 8 people or so living there. You have research facilities, storage facilities, docking facilities. So it's really a tight place to live. The co-creation challenge that we're hoping to present to Expo is that we would be there for the entire 6 months that they're there. We would have a kind of setup here in the global classroom where we would be doing regular short reports and documentaries on what's happening in all the pavilions, because there are something like 160 or 70 pavilions of the latest science and technology there. So we hope to be the classroom that will be teaching the rest of the world interactively about what's happening at Expo. We would be the official classroom for Expo. We will see if we get this accepted or not, but we're working on that. In order for Mayreen and I to be getting this off the ground, we have a lot of paperwork to do, applications to file, and we have to demonstrate to the Expo team there that we're ready to work with whoever they give us as partners, whether it's Japanese colleges, institutions, other people from around the world that we want to be part of this growing classroom that we would create, so that we can be helping to educate the rest of the world about the latest science and engineering and technology. It's ambitious. It requires a lot of willingness to work with people. But now I would like to know from all of you, as you come up and sit in the high chairs, what you think would be the 2 or 3 things that Chris Hadfield, as an astronaut and as a global leader, can help us to understand, so that Maureen and I and any of you who will be involved with this will be presenting something that is a very high level of global leadership. What could we be learning from somebody like Chris Hadfield in terms of the preparation and the presentation of this project? So who's ready to come up and sit in high chairs and explain? Burhan? Okay, and what's Subit, great. Subit, go ahead. Burhan, go ahead. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to start, and this is our way of getting closer to identifying the big global problem today. We're still not there yet. We want to identify qualities of leadership that come from an astronaut. Okay, Burhan, go ahead and just hold it a little bit further. Yeah, today. Great.
So I would just like to say Chris Hadfield had leadership prowess, bravery, and courage. Now, as a captain, you have to have some type of leadership to, say, encourage the rest of the members to act, to believe in what he's saying, to act accordingly to the situation.
Yep.
Now, Chris Hadfield had this passion, and used that passion to coerce others, not coerce, but to push the others to their limits as well, to help them get through this. I mean, as was mentioned, they're living in a tuna can, basically.
Tuna can. Yeah, tuna can or a tin can. That's right.
Tin
It's
can.
like a tuna can. It's
like a tuna can. It's like a tuna
Right.
can.
It's a tuna can. Good.
Yeah. Encourage. You had to have the courage to go in the first place. Do all the training an astronaut has to do. It's not easy, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
To be qualified, to go through all the procedures, to get on that, just get up there on that rocket, on that ship.
Yeah.
And kind of be in charge. He had to have the initiative in kind of, okay, we should do it like this. We need to be like this. This has to happen.
Yeah.
He had to direct his fellow colleagues in how to do this and that, and had to, eat the meals. The meals aren't very.
No, they're not very good.
Yeah.
They're prepared, packaged
Exactly.
meals with just the right amount of
Nutrition.
Yeah, nutrition. But let me just stop you for a second, and then we'll go to Subit, right? Okay. I'm going to say that the critical quality that you've given right now that would go is passion. Chris Hadfield has a passion. Okay, we will say he has a real passion, and probably the passion doesn't have much to do with the money he would make or even the glory he might get for himself. There's something else there that's really important. And we'll just say for the moment, passion, okay? What we're trying to do is identify 2 or 3 things that we can take to our problem solving as emerging global leaders, okay? So passion for the moment, okay? I'm going to put that down. Subit, what do you think we can learn from him?
I would say it's about transcending the boundaries. Because it's called the International Space Station, and the language used there is Russian. And you know how tense the situations are between Russia and the West. And still, there are astronauts from Russia and all over the world working together at the International Space Station. So I think that's what global leaders need to do as well. They need to eliminate the boundaries.
Transcend boundaries. Transcend boundaries. That's great. Okay. And to transcend boundaries would require courage, wouldn't it? Okay. And would it not require also patience and perseverance?
Because it will also require understanding from a third view, a third perspective to the thing.
Yes.
They can't understand the situation of the other if you're okay, it's we versus them. It's us.
Yes.
This is the problem.
Absolutely. That's great. Transcend boundaries. Okay, let's try to get a few more, and then we're going to finally pick our problem that we're going to break down into action items, and we're going to get everything going on the smart board. But let's just see online for a moment. Barack, why don't you jump on your microphone? Your microphone was nice and clear, and tell us what you think we can learn from someone like Chris Hadfield in terms of global leadership skills.
I mean, I watched his videos before, and he looks like a very cool guy. And he's also, I think he talked about the Russian issue. They asked him about the different nationalities at the space station. And I think, I don't remember what he said, but he answered in a way that I think that explains the purpose of the International Space Station. I think he said, like, hey, bring every politician to the space station, and, there will be no wars. I guarantee you that.
Yes.
Some type of thing.
Yeah. So in a few words, what would you say he is demonstrating? What kind of skill? Is it already what we've said, that it's passion and it's the ability to transcend boundaries? Or is there something else in what you've just said, in a word or two, that you think we should note down? And this will get into the smart board shortly.
Inspirational.
Ooh, inspirational.
Inspirational. Yeah.
Inspirational. Great. Okay. Let's do a couple more, all right? And then we're going to start moving towards the problem. Burhan, is there anything you want to add at the moment as you're listening to this about something else that you think? And remember, we're talking about an astronaut right now. We're talking about someone who's lived in a tuna can or a tin can or a very small place. Okay, we'll give the microphone over to Ryan. Let's see, and then we'll come back. Go ahead, Ryan.
I just want to make sure I'm not mistaken, but did you say that if like all the countries could see from like the International Space Station that there'd be no fighting?
It was, yes, something like that. That's what he said.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think maybe one of the words is unified, because seeing everybody from that perspective, like as Subit said, like I think it was seeing from a third world perspective, or
Yes.
third perspective. Yeah. So seeing something from outside of yourself as almost a part of something bigger, I think is kind of important to realize.
Excellent. Okay. Do you want to add anything, Subi, to that? Yeah? Okay, great. Brian, hold your thought for a second, because I just want to make sure we stay on track today, because I really want to get to the problems. I'm going to mention one critical thing, and then we're going to move on. I'd like all of you to just take a look finally, and just at this picture that I've chosen. I spent some time choosing it because there are many, many pictures of Chris Hadfield, as you can imagine. But I chose this particular one because I wanted it to speak about something that I think is very important in leadership and in Chris Hadfield. And for those of you online as well, please look at the big board the best you can, whether you're on your laptops or if you're on your iPhone, just put it into landscape so you can see the full board. And I'm going to point it out to you. Do you see him being right in that picture now, very focused? He has to use the bathroom. So that's great, right? He has to use the bathroom. So he's a little uncomfortable. He's uncomfortable. Does he look? That's good. He's a little uncomfortable. Yes. He's uncomfortable. Jazeel? He's got lots of things in his mind. Absolutely. Very good. Jamie? Wonderment. Nice in the eyes. Yeah, and awe, wonderment. All of this. I picked something that I would say is freighted with meaning in subtext. So there was a lot of things I wanted this image to be saying. But there's one critical thing that I want to make sure you see. Grayson, you agree with the wonderment, discomfort, a lot on his mind? Yeah? Richie? Fear? Good. Yeah, he's afraid. He's about to leave. This is not him actually in the space station. This is him preparing to take off. He's looking up and getting ready. Yeah, that's right. For those of you online, if you didn't hear that, Ryan said, I hope it's not the same guys who built the Challenger, which is, maybe some of you don't know, which is the worst space disaster in history. It blew up on live television, and all of the astronauts were killed at that time, including a teacher who was on board. Sally Ride, I think her name was, if I remember. I'm going to tell you the one thing that is really critical here. It's the psychological ability to manage pressure and stress. In any really serious problem that you have to solve, in any big task that awaits you, you will be facing a lot of difficulty and a lot of stress. And what I'm about to say may not go over so well here. Maybe it will, but I need to say it. Okay? I'm going to say something that is a bit politically incorrect, so to speak. But I say this with all respect and support. Today, we live at a time where mental health challenges are great. It may be the problem that you choose for what we're going to try and understand how to deal with is mental health. And I would fully support that. How do you deal with a mental health issue if you are constantly facing stress? Do you try to reduce the stress? Do you try to pick something that will be less stressful for you? Or, and here's the politically maybe incorrect thing, do you embrace the stress? Actually say, I want the stress. I want the pressure. Because like some kind of metal, there's certain metals, elements in the world, that the more heat you bring to the metal, the harder the metal gets. It's only through the heat that you get stronger. It's only in your ability to go into the pressure and face that and not be afraid of that pressure, no matter how much fear you have, no matter how uncomfortable you are, no matter how much you have on your mind. I am suggesting there's another way than simply saying, I don't want stress. The problem right now that we're facing when it comes to mental health is there is a school of thought that says, avoid the stress. Look for ways to reduce your stress. I would say to you, good luck in life. I would even say to you that the more you do that, the more you may find yourself alone and isolated from the rest of the world. And the more alone and isolated we get, the less of a leader we become. And the more angry, the more sad, and the more alienated we become from the world. The world is a highly stressful place. If you want to do something and you want to achieve something and you want to go further, you want to transcend the boundaries, you will have to go straight into the stress and be with it and learn how to manage it, but not try to avoid it. Now, I don't know if that's something you already have thought about, something that is not going to go over well here, but I'd like to put it out there today as we begin to look at our critical problem, because it may be that we choose mental health, and then it's going to be very interesting to see how we deal with this. So first, let me just stop. Before we go back to our 4 problems in a moment, we're going to review them. In what I've just said, does anybody have anything they'd like to say to me about this in terms of it being unfair, maybe? what I've just said?
Gonna just say, I think Subit hit the nail on the head earlier with the word transcend when you were talking about, put the pressure on and metal and fire because, like I don't know, in Hindu tradition,
Yes.
like in this spiritual view, like the fire center is where the sense of self lives, like that exists down here. So, I was gonna say that you shouldn't try to avoid the stress, like you were saying, but
Yes.
you should try to change yourself and try instead of changes stress. So
Absolutely.
transcend yourself so then it doesn't have the power to influence you anymore.
Absolutely.
You have
It's
the
very
power to
well put.
influence it.
That's the perspective I'm trying to bring today to you. There is a lot today being written about and being broadcast about how we have to soften your stress, reduce stress. A leader is prepared to live with a lot of stress and then gradually learns how to use it as a form of energy to go further. So it's very nicely put. Ryan will always bring a spiritual dimension. He's thoughtful. And do you want to add anything to that, Subi?
Like to say is like it's not more like making amends with the stress. It's more like not motivated by the stress itself, but like the passion to eliminate the stress.
The passion to eliminate it? Can we really eliminate the stress?
But like Ryan said, you can transcend so that it doesn't affect you, or you can go for the source.
Sure.
Like
You're not eliminating it. You're just going beyond it, but it's still there.
But for you, it's not there. Like stress, in a lot of sense, I think it's subjective. So like if it's not for you, then it doesn't exist for you. But you also have to think about other people. So like you can make them think the same way.
Yes.
So it doesn't exist for them either.
It's good. It's good. Okay. We need to get real in a moment with our problems. We have to pick our problem, and then we're going to get some solutions, but we're going to look at this in a moment. Unless there's anything, I'm going to go to online and check in and see if, Barack, were you able to get to class 4 on that? Are you able to open the notes for class 4?
The last time there was no notes, but I'm checking again.
Go to class 4, okay, and see, because you will see the
Oh,
notes
sorry.
there.
Class 4 got the notes, yeah.
Okay,
I
great. Good. Excellent. So it's going to work. We're going to pivot now. We're going to take what we've just been looking at, which is things we can learn from Chris Hadfield, a little bit of review of what we've been doing, and now I want to focus on a problem. An astronaut faces a lot of problems, a lot of technical problems, a lot of emotional problems, and psychological problems. So Chris Hadfield today is not here to help you think about becoming an astronaut and going into NASA training. This is something else. This is about the leadership skills that he's helping us with, because he has demonstrated global leadership under real stress. So, Barack, could you read out loud those 4 problems that we had come up with, global problems that we had noted? Go ahead and read that.
Number 1 is climate change proposed by Team B.
Yep.
Number 2, mental health proposed by Team C.
Yep.
Number 3 is tribalism proposed by Team A.
Yeah.
And the 4th one is consumer culture, which is proposed by my team, Team D.
Great. Okay, so climate change was number 1, mental health, tribalism, consumer culture. 4 big global problems. And then we started to sort of consolidate them and think if we could maybe make them into 2 problems. And then we started to talk about how mental health might be the critical problem that's driving everything. Well, I just want to say this, and then we're going to choose. Your reflections so far, your second reflections, have been very good, the ones that I've seen come in. And some of you have been writing about this very issue that we're exploring today, and have chosen some climate change, some consumer culture, and mental health has certainly been popular as well. The reflections that you're doing are really demonstrating that you are thinking about this problem, and that's great. But now we have to go a little further, and I need to torque up the pressure on all of you. A leader makes choices. A leader has to decide. And we have to make some decisions, some hard decisions together. And the hard decision is we have to pick one right now that we're going to really drill down on and try to develop some action items around. So, you have those four. I'm not going to consolidate right now with you. It's going to take a little bit too much time, but I'm going to ask all of you to think about those four for a moment. First, climate change. Second, mental health. Third, tribalism. Four, consumerism. These are four big global problems that affect all of humanity today. You must now, in your imagination, in your mind, by yourself, choose one. You must. This is hard. And then we're going to do a vote. Okay? And I'm going to tell you how that's going to work. But I just want to make sure everybody is clear on what I'm asking you to do right now. Online too. Barack, Jayton, Nathan, the two Nathans, do you all understand what I'm asking you to do? Can you just put a yes or a no in the live chat? Please go ahead. If you don't understand, please jump on your microphone and explain. I am asking you to make a choice. Barack, do you know what you're choosing from? Do you know what? Okay, don't tell us yet what you're choosing. Jayton, do you know what you're being asked to do? Great. Okay, good. So there is life on that planet. Nathan, planet ND. Yes, good. But then the planet NL, do we need a rescue mission? Have we lost contact with that planet? NL, are you there? We've lost contact. We will arrange, we will use our imagination, and we will return to this at a later date, how we will come and rescue planet NL and bring life back to it. But for the moment, to be, perfectly blunt, it's a dead planet. But we will bring it back to life at some point. Okay. I'm going to ask all of you to clap once for one choice. Okay? You're going to clap for one thing only. I'm going to go through the four, and I'm going to listen for the loudest clap. I'm going to say, for example, climate change, and I'm going to listen. And I'm going to say mental health, and I'm going to listen. And the loudest clap is our choice. And then we're going to get to work, because we have some work to do. Okay? You can. It's okay. You can, as long as we can hear you. But for the moment, I think you're going to have to leave the mic off, because it might be really loud. And I don't know if you're going to be able to clap. But anyway, we'll figure it out. Okay. So for the online clapping, we'll do this. Just put clap in the live chat, okay? Or emoji. Yeah, put this. I want to get to. Good. Okay, there's Justin. Who would like to speak? Jayton, is it? Go ahead. Okay. Yep. So here we go. 4 choices. You have thought. Now, you must make a choice. One out of 4. and you need to have made the choice by now. There's not endless time here. Has to be done. First, climate change. Climate change. Climate change. I'm not hearing anything online. I'm not hearing anything here. Well, that's interesting. Jayton? Is it Jayton giving a... Jayton? Yeah, I think that's... Jayton, is that thumb from before?
It's from before, I think.
Good. Oh, good. We've got... Great, we've got life, real life from the planet. It's a voice now. Nice. Okay.
It's my voice.
Way to go. Okay. So nobody has chosen climate change. That's clear. Climate change is off the table. Now we're down to 3. Mental health or tribalism or consumer culture. Mental health. Lot of clapping here. I'm just going to say it again because I want to see who. Mental health, please clap. Okay. How about online? Mental health? We're waiting for this. No. Interesting. So neither Barack nor Jayton, no, not allowed, nor any of the Nathans chose mental health. This is going to get close. So right now, mental health is the choice because it had the loudest clap, but we have 2 more to go. Tribalism. Tribalism. My vote good, Jayton. So that's Jayton now adding. My sense is tribalism just proved it's a little bit louder. Yeah, tribalism. However, we have one more choice. Consumer culture. Jamie wrote, oh. Consumer culture. Barack. But you're only one person, but he's given 3 hands. So, I'm afraid that loudness isn't quite going to help this. It's only one person clapping, not 3 people clapping.
I just tried.
But it's good. You did try. And did we ever get anything from any of the Nathans? Nathan de Guzman and mental. Oh, that's important. Because that now brings mental health to about the same place as tribalism. Well, then, yeah, that's what we normally do, and we have a couple of minutes to do it. So it is time for a little bit of a showdown between mental health and tribalism. We have to pick one, but I'm going to just tell any of you right now that probably no matter what we choose, whether it's tribalism, mental health, consumer culture, and maybe even climate change, whatever we choose, probably the other ones are going to sort of be part of the conversation anyways. They kind of have to be. But one of them is going to be critical. So now we have to go back and vote again. Clapping for just 2. Please think. It's a showdown. As Ryan said, he's right. We are choosing between tribalism and mental health as being the #1 global problem that we have to start to analyze locally, how we can address that to do our part. So here we go. You're going to vote again. And I'm going to start with tribalism. Tribalism, and 1 online. Mental health. Mental health. Okay. Very good, because given the fact that I was talking about mental health in the beginning, means that this is going to be a very focused class. So here's our problem. Now, Could you stay in these chairs for now? Okay, great. You're the high chair. We need people on the smart board. Okay, so Richie, could you get on the board? And Grayson, do you want to join Richie? And Princess, do you want to go be the team? No, you stay there. All right. Ryan, you want to go join? Yeah, great. Okay, this is going to be our nucleus in here. We've got our board over there. You want to just go and make a new slide from there, and I'll bring the camera over so everybody can see. There we have our team on the smart board. Excellent. And I would like you to put AIs, AI, then S. It's short form for action items. AIs. 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 AI and then S. Nice. Yeah. In the global classroom, AI first means action item, not artificial intelligence. See, I gave that some thought. Good. All right. So could you come here? It's Abdul. Abdul, could you come and sit by Princess? Okay. Good. And we have Subit here. We've got Burhan here. Jazeel here. We've got our little group here. And I will bring the camera back here. Great. We can see everybody. And we have our captain up above us for some inspiration. We now have to give some thought to action items. So first, we need to write the problem that we're going to be addressing on this. So what are we addressing here in terms of our problem? What would you write on the board, Richie? What's the problem that we're kind of addressing right now? Okay, we'll start. Can you write mental health, please, on the, you can take this. This will be your microphone, okay? Right? Just write mental health, okay? AIs for, or for mental health. Action items for mental health. Hold your thought. You're on the right track. We're going to take this step by step. It's a way of thinking right now that we have to really address. AIs for mental health. From a global perspective. From a global perspective. From a global perspective. And that's not global, it's global now. We've identified, we've voted on a problem that we have some data on that can help us. We don't need to write this down, but we just need to remind us that the World Health Organization has been speaking increasingly of the problem around the world with mental health, depression, anxiety, and other issues as being a serious issue that humanity is facing around the world in many different parts of the world. So there is data to back up what you have said or you want. But you have made this choice that mental health is a global problem, and you're right. But then when it comes to action items for any particular problem today, we have to make the solution manageable, realistic. We have to do our part. That's the local part of global. There's the global and there's the local. And that's what we now want to focus on, is the local part. So could you make a list of numbers and just put number 1, number 2, and double space it, okay? So 1, and then 2, 3, and 4. We're gonna have a discussion, and then we're gonna really try and distill this down and demonstrate something about our local leadership. We're not trying to change the world. We're trying to change our community and change our lives for better, knowing that every problem that we face today has a global connection. This is the world we live in right now. It's a global world. Okay. I want all of us, what's that? It's okay, just listen, and then we will coin things later. I just want to make sure that this is understood. We have to apply vision and imagination to this problem. We haven't yet identified exactly what the problem is, but that's okay. We have a broad problem right now. We started to identify it in a previous class, but it's all right for the sake of our problem-solving session. We just need to have a general idea of the problem, but we will get specific a little bit later with the action items. There are two things that human beings are very good at, and that are skills that we all must have as global leaders. We need our creative intelligence, and we need our critical thinking. We need to be able to use our imaginations, which is creative intelligence, and think and even visualize of something better. We need to see it. You can't lead anybody in anything unless you have a vision of where you're going. The leader is the one who has that kind of imagination to see further. Ryan?
I don't know if I can relate something from my experience, but like just last night I was talking to a friend and I was explaining that like the limit basically you can achieve in life is the limit of your imagination, because if you can't see it in your mind, if you can see it in your mind, it's almost like it exists on some level.
Yes.
Like it's a possibility in the universe or in the cosmos. But if you can't see it, then that means you don't have the imagination to even understand that it can exist or can happen. So, but I was saying that like just last night to somebody.
It's great. The second thing you need is that critical thinking, which is you are going to take that vision and you're going to start to think about the reality of how it can actually happen and what's needed and why you are embarking on this project. It's the reality time. And we need to be able to hold those two things in our minds. The big thinker, the vision, and then the kind of real ground level, how we're going to achieve this. So the first thing I want you to do right now is I'd like to take a minute of silence. People who really are using their imaginations understand something about how to tap into their imagination. And for that, you don't need a machine. You don't need a device. You need to, what I would call, embrace the gravity of stillness. Embrace the gravity of stillness. Don't need to write anything down yet. For 1 minute, I would like all of you to just be silent and think about this problem, mental health, and think about what could be done in your community to remove this problem. That's it. The hard part is going to be concentrating on this. Once the stillness comes, your mind is going to be flooded with things. Do you know how to get your mind focused on one thing and one thing only, and then hold that thought for a long period of time? This is what Albert Einstein said was the secret to his success, that he could think about one thing longer than anybody else could. I'd like you to try that right now. This is your vision. 1 minute. Try your best to think about mental health and to think about an action item that you can do in your community to remove this problem. I'll give you 1 minute. Please start. including those online. Okay. Nothing may have happened in your minds. That's okay. A leader is somebody who can think and reflect, deeply reflect, and does not need a machine or a device to help him. He can and she can use this incredible instrument called his or her brain. Okay. Let's start. Next 10 minutes or so, let's begin this little activity of problem solving, creating action items. Did anybody in this minute or so of silence begin to see something? Even a faint glimmer of something around this problem of mental health and what can be done that is manageable and real and achievable. I saw Subit first, and then we'll go to Jamie, okay? Let's get the microphone, all right? I'll bring it around. Sure. Okay, great. And we'll get ready to write in a moment, okay? We're just gonna brainstorm a little together. Subit, go ahead.
What I was thinking about was more along the lines of what the problem really is, like how it's caused. So what I would say is like mental health is caused by a lot of other problems. But when it gets you is when someone lacks, I would say, critical thinking in a sense, or they are like eluded by something. Like if you can think clearly through the problem, then the stress won't get you. I mean, that's how I function.
Yep. Yep.
Because if you can identify the problem, if you can identify what's stressing you, you are way less likely to have a mental health problem or anything of that sort.
I think an action item might be, to start with, identify the precise problem. Very good, Subit. It has been said about problem solving that 80% of it is actually identifying problem. Clearly, once you can really agree on that, the solution starts to get a lot easier. But, okay, well, we'll see. So identify, and you may want to add to that if you like, but try to keep it, this is the hard part, try to keep it as brief as possible. I have seen reflections that students have submitted, their second reflections, that go into 1,400, 1,500 words. It's supposed to be 725, 750. Really well written, great content. But I'm facing a difficult decision with these students of how I should mark that, because critically, they did not edit it down to the word length. And the hard part of anything is the cutting, not the adding. Less is more. But anyways, okay. So identify the precise problem. Okay, that's the beginning of something. Great, Subhi. Is there anything? That's what identify the precise problem. Okay, through clear thinking, but we can't put everything down. Jamie, I'll take the microphone. He was next. Okay, and then we'll go around. Okay.
Not a brain fart. So, like, I liked what you said about identifying the problem and critical thinking and whatnot. But there are people who suffer from anxiety, and knowing the issue regardless and knowing what they need to do doesn't help them. Like, I have a brother-in-law who falls down that rabbit hole of anxiety over every little thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that like it's just that easy, to be honest. I think we need to find like they definitely have to identify what the root cause is. So like in a lot of people, their stress comes from work, from working over too many hours. Employers put such pressure on their employees to work as efficiently as possible, to treat them like robots, like computers, rather than human beings.
Yeah.
Thinking that they can just sit at their desk or on the line for 8 hours a day with no breaks because we're busy, and therefore you should have to work. There are people who only make minimum wage and they have to work 4 jobs, 3 jobs,
Yep.
just to stay afloat. I think to tackle mental health, we as a society need to have a fundamental shift in our thinking, in the way we operate our world. Rather than simply doing things for a profit, for as much money as possible, to perhaps work for just the betterment of society as a whole, rather than an individual entity or corporation.
Yeah, yeah. It's great. There's a lot there. A lot there. I want to make sure Richie he wanted to say something as well. You have a microphone, and then we'll get something on the board, okay? But thanks, Jamie. And we're really getting deeper now, and we're exploring this, and we're going to get some good stuff up on that board. Go ahead, Richie.
So I just want to add on to what Subir was saying about identifying the precise problem. I think when it comes to mental health, it's not just enough to identify it. I think it's another challenge to acknowledge, or for the person to acknowledge they have a mental health issue. The best example of this is addictions. I mean, we all have addictions, but some of us don't even realize our addictions are, harmful, or not. That we don't even realize we have that addiction. Especially when it comes to these everyday habits. Best example of this is social media addiction.
Sure.
Yeah, or smartphone addiction, anyways. So getting someone to acknowledge they have a problem, that's also another challenge. Yeah, because you're not just going to go to visit a psychologist or a therapist if you don't know what's wrong with you. Yeah.
For sure. There's a lot there too, and I'm going to suggest that for the sake of making a choice right now, that we put something about addiction down as the second action item.
Yeah, I would like to add on to both these points.
Go ahead, Burhan. Yeah.
Jamie's point and Richie's point. So I believe, for example, anxiety, depression. For example, anxiety, you can't control some things that happen with that. And as you said, creativity and critical thinking, those are two very important
Absolutely.
things to a person.
Yes.
Now, anxiety and depression can cloud rational thinking. It could lead to many other things. It could harm your psyche, so your mind, your physical well-being, as well as your spiritual well-being.
For sure.
Um, all three of these kind of, you know, they embody it. We embody that.
So, go ahead. Yep, finish up.
You can.
And I think we might want to put down, we're not yet writing much, but we're starting, okay? We're getting our action items, and this is going to be a little work in progress. Anxiety and depression, I think we have to put as number 3. We don't know yet what the action item is, but it's something around there. Now, it's going to be interesting when we get a full list of our action items, and then we're going to go back to making choices. What one would we work on first? Which action item would become our number 1 priority? But Princess has got something to say. We'll come back. Great comments, everybody, and we're going to make sure this is all worked through. Go ahead.
Everyone has made very interesting points about acknowledging and identifying. But when dealing with mental health, even though the person identifies and acknowledges this issue, mental health it's something that is overwhelming for a person. And although some people are not brave enough, there's still this stigma to it where people can't boldly say some things because they're going to get judged. So as much as the person has to identify the problem, first of all, this is not an external factor that can be controlled by weather, or this is humans, and humans are one of the most complicated species to ever exist.
The most complicated.
The most, because
The
you
most complex.
you can't judge people's
Absolutely.
actions because you don't know what's going up there. So I'll say, if you want to approach this manner, the first thing I believe we should do as a society is first look at the man in the mirror.
Look at the man in the mirror.
Yeah, like
or the
Michael
woman.
Jackson.
Look at the
Look at yourself.
Look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, because first of all, a lot of people develop these issues through to like trauma from other influences, and even though they acknowledge and see the problem, if we as people are not accepting or tolerant, or you haven't like calmed down and be like, okay, let's say okay, let me give you an example. We have friends that, whether we know it or not, they are going through things, and there are stages in life we reach where, although we're always about ourselves, how's this going to affect me? But we should also look at, okay, the people around me, how do I help them? Am I a safe space for people? Do I chase people away unknowingly? Maybe because you don't know. Some people can be very judgmental.
This is true.
I had a friend, I said, "You're so judgmental. Like, I know you might have gone through things in life, but I can't come to you to talk about something because you're always going to be like, so what are you going to do about it? You should look at yourself, look at the man in the mirror. We should, as humans, try to be more accepting
Of ourselves.
Yes.
Ooh. Let's keep this list going. And you want to make another slide? We've got a lot of great thoughts here. We're not going to finish this today, but we're making serious progress on this whole idea of problem solving today. We don't need to rush anything. We need to go deep. When you rush, you might go far, but do you go deep? To go deep, you got to slow down and you got to start to dig. Jazeel?
Mental health is can sometimes or might always acts like a disease. It's not a literal disease, but it can act like one.
Yes.
There are people who are immune, and there are those who get affected by others' depression and their mental instability. Mental health is also can be caused by social circumstances, like from people who are toxic to having the wrong base of group you're associated with. So it's more can be due to a social issue, and if you are connected with the wrong group, you will feel left out, and you will feel uh, depressed even more, and you'll be stuck in a cycle where you can't leave them because they are the group or the group of friends you known for a while, your whole time or for a while. So it's like a you are stuck at the same time you want to move. You know the reason, but you can't. It's a pressure.
There's there's a lot there. This is great, and I want to make sure that we get some more things on the board. First, I'll ask the team over there if there's something you want to add or something you want to say before I might help you. But go ahead, Ryan.
So many great ideas. Kind of lost track of my ones after hearing all of them. But I like what Jazeel said there about people in your environment influencing you, because I believe that's a big factor. And I had to cut off a lot of my friends because I felt that it was not facilitating more growth and more learning. And as you said, like they can inhibit you at some point if you don't realize those limitations that are being placed on you.
Yes.
So
Good.
I think that's very imperative. And also, like the other thing I was gonna say is about addictions. I think that like mental health is, they say it's caused by like chemicals in the brain and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Addiction, you could become addicted to the chemicals of stress. If you're using your phone and scrolling mindlessly, you're
Yes.
burning out like your dopamine receptors and all that. So you're subconsciously triggering to your body release these chemicals into the system. You're subconsciously telling them that this is what I want my body to do, right? So but if you create different behaviors, like you go to the gym, you meditate, you like try to do introspective activities, eat well, all these kind of things, and
Yes.
you're programming your brain to release different chemicals into the system. So, and I don't know, I feel like that really facilitates your view on the outside world, and ultimately over time that will shape how you view your reality.
Good, Richie. Richie's put neurological up there. Absolutely. Excellent. Okay. We're just getting some critical sort of topics and areas that we're going to then choose what we're going to work on in more detail. But right now, we've got a good list going, and we've chosen our problem, which is mental health, but we've got to drill down and get more specific, and that's what we're doing. Subit, do you have a microphone? I'll give Subit, go ahead.
So, what Princess said and what Zazil said, I sort of thought of a paradox in that. Because when you are suffering from a mental health issue, you are bound to go to your safe space. But if you stay in that safe space, you're never going to realize that you have a health issue. And that's your comfort space.
Yes.
And solving the problem is all about getting out of the comfort space.
And being able to not be uncomfortable in that you're comfortable with being uncomfortable. You're not afraid of being uncomfortable. But sometimes we need to be in that safe space when it's really serious, and we need to calm ourselves or deal with it. But eventually, we have to bring ourselves out of that safe space and back into the rest of the world.
Yeah, and the way Princess said, like, okay, I would disagree on that, but like,
Go on.
sometimes
Richie's got, yeah, he's writing. Good. Go ahead.
sometimes you do need a friend who asks, "What are you gonna do about it?" Because he wants you to act on that.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
ultimately, he wants good for you.
We're talking about a community, building community for yourself, building community.
So okay, there's one more thing to
Building
add,
community.
about the building community. So the community should be like it acknowledges your issues.
Yes.
And it gives you a safe space, but it also cautions.
Yes.
It also puts you in like a place of caution that what are you gonna do about it?
Yes. Yeah, sure. Wow, that's it. Go ahead, Princess.
I understand what you're saying, right? But I want, like, from my perspective, mental health, like just like Jazil said, mental health is a disease. And you can't tell a sick person, like if you're taking care of a sick person, you can't push a sick person to get well. You can't force someone to get well, especially like with the mental health. Like, let me give you an example. There are times I struggle with anxiety, right? And what goes through my head is, okay, I see a problem, and because I'm trying to concentrate, it's like my brain is giving me 100 things at once. And if I try to talk to a friend about it, it's like, so why don't you just try to meditate? My brain is not allowing me, like, it's not allowing me do that.
Do that.
See, people know the solutions to this problem. That's why, like, most times you want to meet people, especially when it's like psychology or mental or anything, they know because they experience it every day, right? I understand what you're saying, but I would say you're coming from a very logical point of view. You're coming from a very I would say you're giving the view of like a CEO, the company, right? Like that, no, that's the vibe you give me. It's good, it's beautiful, right? But when you're coming talking with human beings, you have to lead with empathy. You don't do things like, oh, if you do this we get this result. If you do, because you don't know what this person had gone through, you don't know the triggers this person has. There are a lot of factors that you do not know about. So when you're dealing with someone that is sick, you lead with empathy, which I know it comes a bit hard to different people. There are levels to it. That is something, that's why it's also a skill you can learn. You can also learn how to be empathetic. You can learn how to be tolerant. So that's why I pushed for first look at yourself. There are some skills you need to develop when you're talking with issues this sensitive. Because mental health is a whole huge bracket with a lot of things. Now, I'm not disagreeing with what you said, right? Because of course, asking people, what can we do, or what's the problem? Of course, it's so important because it gives you as a human like a path to follow with this. Like, oh, I can help with this aspect or this aspect. But whatever your intentions are, or whatever questions you're asking, you should also remember that it should be led with empathy. That's something the world is lacking right
Okay.
now. I think that's a big issue. Empathy, like put yourself in someone's
Yes, someone
situation.
else's shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, first. So, lead with empathy, or Richie's getting it down. You can write it in however you want, Richie. And I know you also want to say something too. I just want to remind you that we're coming to, the end of the class, and it's important that we stick to our time, mostly because all of you have other things to do, and I want to make sure you do that, and also because part of good leadership is you have to recognize we don't have all the time in the world. Things have to stop. We're not there yet, but we're well on our way to having made a decision about the problem. And now we are starting to begin to brainstorm about where we're going to direct our attention around action items. We will have to make a choice when we return to this class on leadership of what will that one action item be that we're going to really work on. And we will do that in our next class. Okay, we've begun this. We will return to this list it will be after our break, and we have a guest coming on just after break. Mohammed, the professor from Nigeria, is going to be returning to give a fuller class. We have a class on International Women's Day that's coming with a guest as well. We have a climate change class coming with a senior researcher with the United Nations on climate action, who's been involved in creating policy around climate change internationally. We have some good guests coming in the second half of the semester. One guest who probably won't be returning, though, it looks like Ash in Pakistan has been having some issues, and I haven't been able to convince him to come back to do a full class because he's so preoccupied with other problems. And I said to him, you could bring those problems to this class. I think the students would really appreciate that. He's hasn't yet to get back to me about that. So I don't know if we'll see Ash back for a full class on empowerment. However, I'll continue to work with him. Richie, you're going to have the last word, okay? I know you have something to say, so please go ahead, and then we're going to wrap things up.
I'll try to be quick. I think one really important thing that we have to talk about regarding mental health has to be the, the, the philosophical aspects of the solutions. I think you mentioned it at the beginning of the class. Some solutions will tell you to avoid the problems.
Yes.
Yeah. And from your opinion, that's not good. But from what Princess is saying, is probably contradictory to what you were saying. So there's also like what I'm trying to say is there's so many ways to approach a problem, but not all the solutions are for everyone.
That's true.
Yeah, because I believe Subit, you're talking about how uh, it- you only have a problem because you accept that it's a problem. It's more yeah, somewhat in that sense. Yeah, a sort of a Buddhist approach, if you will. Yeah, so for some people, like myself personally, I agree with your way of approaching the problem. For others, it would be extremely difficult for them to understand that concept. There's also that philosophical aspects of the solutions that we also have to talk about. Yeah, some solutions may work better for others. Yeah, I'm from the school of hard knocks. But for someone else, yeah. So that's what I wanted to say.
Well, Richie, you know what you're doing that may not be apparent. I'll just remind what you're all doing in terms of demonstrating leadership. You're stepping up and you're speaking well. Now, that's what a leader can do. A leader can stand up in front of others and communicate. Now, it may not be that everybody communicates in the same way, but the one thing that a good leader can do is he can do too many things at once. And that is that he is not afraid to deal with the stress of standing up in front of others and speaking. And you're all doing that. Burhan's been doing that. Supit's been doing that. Jazeel, Princess, certainly. Jamie, I know if Grayson wanted to speak, he would. Ryan, and also Abdul. I just want to remind you, it may not be so apparent that that's what you have all been doing. You've been communicating well in this class. You've been referring to each other's names. You're listening to what others are saying. This is good. This is a very important part of leadership. You listen to what people are saying. Excellent. Okay, so onliners, we're going to say goodbye from here. We got to get wrapped up. And if there's anything that you would like to add, just put it in the live chat now, and I'll save it, and we can review the live chat next class. Okay, so listen, everybody, have a great winter break week next week. And you have some grades coming, some midterm grades, and I'm looking forward to reading all of your second reflections. So thank you all very much. See you soon, okay? We're done for our 7th class of this semester. I'm going to make sure I save things here, and let me do that before we fully wrap up. But we're done, and I'll come and save that. Just give me a moment to save the live chat. Great. Then we're good. Export as PDF. Nice. Okay. I'm going to stop the live stream. And to do that, I come over here. Oh no, that ends the meeting. Where's the live stream? Just a second.